Welcome to Tea Break Academy. Enjoy the bedtime story with Little Dream Tales. Snow White and the Seven Forest Friends. Once upon a time, in a bright and happy kingdom, there lived a little princess named Snow White. She had soft black hair, rosy cheeks, and a smile as warm as sunshine. Everyone loved Snow White because she was kind, gentle, and always ready to help others. Every morning, she would wave to the birds outside her window. "Good morning, little birds," she would say. And the birds would sing back. Tweet, tweet, tweet. But in the same castle lived the queen. The queen cared more about being beautiful than being kind. Each day, she looked into her magic mirror. Magic mirror, she asked, "Who is the fairest of them all?" And every day, the mirror answered, "You are the fairest of them all." The queen smiled proudly. But one morning, the mirror said something different. "Snow White is the fairest of them all." The queen's face turned red with anger. "Snow White," she cried. "How can that be?" Now, Snow White did not know the queen was upset. She was outside in the woods, with her animals friends. The animals loved her very much. The queen became so jealous that she ordered a guard to take Snow White deep into the forest. But the guard was kind-hearted. When they reached the forest, he said softly, "Run, Snow White. Run far away. Stay safe." Snow White's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered. Then she hurried into the forest. The trees were tall. The wind whooshed softly. Rustle, rustle. Crackle, crackle. Snow White felt scared. "Hello," she called quietly. A little bunny hopped near her feet. Then 2 deer peeked from behind a tree. Soon, birds fluttered overhead, as if they were guiding her somewhere safe. After walking for a long, long time, Snow White found a tiny cottage. It was the cutest little house she had ever seen. The door was tiny. The windows were round. And outside were 7 little flower pots. "Oh my," Snow White said. "Who lives here?" Inside, she saw 7 tiny chairs. 7 tiny bowls. 7 tiny beds. Everything was small. Snow White giggled. "I think very little people live here." She was tired and hungry, so she carefully cleaned the cottage to say thank you. She swept the floor. Swish, swish, swish. She washed the dishes. Splash, splash, splash. Then she sat down and yawned. Soon, she fell fast asleep. That evening, 7 forest friends came home. They were not dwarfs in this story. They were magical woodland helpers. There was Mossy the Bear, Pip the Rabbit, Hazel the Fox, Tumble the Hedgehog, Berry the Raccoon, Twig the Deer, and Flutter the Owl. "Someone cleaned our cottage," said Pip. "And look," whispered Hazel. "There's a little girl sleeping here." Snow White woke up slowly. "Oh dear," Hazel said. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to surprise you." But the forest friends smiled warmly. "You may stay with us," said Flutter the Owl kindly. Snow White felt safe at last. From then on, they became the best of friends. Every morning they sang songs together. Every afternoon they picked berries and flowers. And every evening they shared supper under the moon. But far away in the castle, the queen once again asked her mirror. "Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror replied, "Snow White is still the fairest of them all." The queen gasped. "She is alive." The queen decided to trick Snow White herself. She made a shiny red apple. It looked delicious. But it was enchanted with sleeping magic. The queen dressed as an old lady and walked through the forest. The queen finds Snow White in the forest. "Would you like an apple?" "Dear," croaked the old lady. "Oh, thank you," said Snow White politely. She took one bite. Crunch. Suddenly, Snow White became very sleepy. "Oh," she whispered softly. Then she closed her eyes and fell asleep. The forest friends hurried to bring her home, where she rested peacefully. "She's under magic sleep," said Flutter the Owl sadly. The animals stayed beside her day and night. The birds sang softly. The deer stood quietly nearby. Even the wind seemed to whisper gently through the trees. Then one sunny morning, something wonderful happened. A warm ray of sunshine touched Snow White's face. A little bird landed beside her and sang the sweetest song. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Snow White blinked her eyes. Then she sat up slowly. "I had the strangest dream," she said. The forest friends cheered with joy. "She's awake." Everyone danced around the cottage. Even Tumble the Hedgehog tried to dance, though he mostly rolled in circles. Snow White laughed and laughed. The Queen's magic was gone forever because kindness and friendship were stronger than jealousy. And from that day on, Snow White chose not to return to the castle. Instead, she stayed in the forest with her dear friends. Together they planted flowers, baked berry pies, helped lost animals, and sang songs beneath the stars. Every night before bed, Snow White would smile and say, "Kind hearts make the brightest magic of all." And everyone would answer. The end. And now our story comes to an end. If you enjoyed this magical adventure, don't forget to subscribe for more bedtime stories. Until next time, sweet dreams, little dreamers.